when I hear a sound, a rap at the door, my young son Gabriel walks in. My wife says, "No, Gabriel, leave." I say, "No, let the boy watch." Let the boy watch. He needs to learn the way I learned from my father, the way he learned from his father.
Yeah, she was blistery out there, but we made do. David graciously was able to bring his boat and myself hop in it and go catch some muskies.
Tough to complain about a 3 fish day, no matter how big they are.
Do you carry the weight today, David, or did Gus help out at all?
Well, I mean, I told Gus, I said, you know what, the tube is a great bait. And he said, no, I don't have any confidence. I said, please just throw it a couple times. And since he was my client today, he listened and he caught one right away on it.
Wow.
It was a
Gus,
whopper too.
what did it feel like
Yeah.
throwing that tube finally, buddy?
Oh, it felt great. I was really excited when David told me I could throw the tube. I mean, it felt like an honor and a privilege. And honestly, I even threw it on David's rod too. He let me use that as well.
Yeah.
When
It was a full guide trip.
Wow,
it
you
was a
brought the
full guide
goods and
trip.
everything.
Yeah. Yeah, I brought nothing, you know. Totally didn't take 3 casts with my rod, and one of my reels just anti-reverse blew out. But it's all good, we made
I did
do.
the I did the full guide thing and I stole the two biggest fish from the back of the boat.
This
Just part of being the guide.
is too
Oh
good.
God, that's
Well,
hilarious.
we'll get right into this here in a second, but welcome everybody to another week of Muskies on Tap. I'm one of your 3 hosts you heard before. That voice was not Brian Eckel, but we're going to introduce him back on here in a second. We've had him on before, but welcome to episode number 119. Myself, Gus, and we got Max on here, and then we also have none other than David Dykowski. I'm going to start it off with Max. How you doing?
Moving a little slow this week. I'm not sure if you told David at all about our weekend over Labor Day, but we had a big crew of fellas up to the cabin. It was really not centered around fishing at all.
Not one
We did
bit.
our big fantasy football draft weekend, and yeah, it was an absolute blast. Good to be up in the North Woods. For those of you that were wondering about our big golf match, the old guys did absolutely take an absolute beat down to the younger fellas, Gus, Brian, and their buddies on the course. So, um, for all those that were pulling for the old guys out there, we appreciate the love and support. Just let you know that we pulled through for you guys. Just an absolute clinic, really. It's unfortunate that Brian isn't here to defend himself. He was talking a lot of shit prior to the match and even during it for a little bit. But you could just see the life kind of slip away from them about the 13th, 14th hole. Old guys just, came down the last couple holes clutch and got the job done. But yeah, no, really fun weekend. This cool down. I was jealous that you guys were out on the water today until you started telling me about the conditions you guys had. But this cool down's got me thinking about muskies now. It's looking like I'll be getting out in the metro a couple times over the next few weeks, hopefully. So hoping to again try to figure out this shallow water early September bite here in the Twin Cities. But yeah, no, life's good, man. Just kind of waking up from the long weekend and shit's already Thursday. We got football starting tomorrow, Packer game Sunday. Nothing to complain about. But kind of a long-winded intro. I don't want to take the stage away from our gracious guest slash co-host here tonight, David Dykowski. David, how we doing?
I'm doing good. The cold, crisp air today it was cold and crisp and it was strong, but even though it was kind of miserable out there, it was tough not to smile knowing that like fall fishing is here. In my opinion, it's the best time of year to be out there. I think the hard slap of the fall weather today kind of put the fish in a little bit of a funk, but no matter what, it's a sign of good things to come, and it's just going to get better from here till the end, I think.
I agree. I mean, it hit really hard. Like I kind of knew what was coming. We got the rain, yesterday or whatever, and it was like bleeding into today. And when I was messaging with you, David, before we were going out, trying to figure out like a good time, we had to record the podcast at night and whatnot, so we couldn't exactly go late. But I was seeing it's like, well, it's going to be the warmest at 6 a.m. and it's not going to get any warmer throughout the entire day. Those are kind of weird days where it just cools off progressively, and we could kind of tell. I mean, maybe if we stayed out later, there was going to be some sort of other bite window, maybe, but it seemed like they progressively got a little less active. I don't know. I mean, maybe they're getting the funk of the fact that it rained on and off about 23 times in our time fishing. Rained sideways a couple times, and it got sunny, and then it was gale force, and then it laid down, and it was just one of those funky days where sometimes like you can understand if you struggle, and then there's some times where they just go lights out, and I think it was like right in between. But like you said, David, you can't ever complain about a three fish day. Even if one of them was a whopping 18 to 20 incher that, absolutely crushed a tube, like you said before in the intro. But hey, we'll take it. We saw some really nice fish, so it's good to see them
Yeah,
moving.
it kind of almost was like we kind of knew it'd be a little bit like a fall day though, where you just get that short bite window and you got to kind of make it happen when you get your chance. And we fished hard for most of the day, and the window really was only maybe an hour or so where we got those three fish.
Right.
So
I think another thing today that I totally think is a full on fall slap in the face type of a day is that straight up was on a very, very heater bucktail bite. Like fish were just absolutely going ape shit for mainly Huntsy tails and frenzies, and sometimes like a single eight, like a rabid girl or something like that, if you want to switch it up. And that was, more shorts and a t-shirt weather. And then this was just like a full, I don't know, 180 turnaround. And as you showed getting your fish, it went full on glide bait mode. And we could tell that like their mood was better when we raised them on jerk baits. And I don't think we didn't have a fish up on topwater or bucktail, right?
yeah, I was gonna say don't feel bad about the prediction, because I did say that I thought it was gonna be a top water bite today before I realized it was gonna be 30-mile-an-hour winds, and I did try, but
Damn
it was
straight.
not a top water bite.
Yeah, we did try to force feed them that, but I mean it's only early September. I mean, I think realistically, I mean, as they say, you can throw them until they bounce for bucktails and topwater, which, we've said on this podcast, like there's definitely not, there's kind of a time frame when we kind of like to stray away from it. Maybe it's, to our slight downfall on certain days, but we still got a good month of bucktails and topwater being effective,
I
truly
agree.
effective, and then it kind of takes a turn. But
Yeah. It was interesting today. We had some like pretty lazy follows, which was to be kind of expected, I think, from the adverse kind of weather. But the two that I got to eat the glide came absolutely unglued on it. Like they were vicious strikes, vicious fights. I mean, the fish seemed to be pretty amped up for those. I just thought that was kind of interesting.
They eat them at your feet, or did you see him coming from a
Both
bit? Or
both out on the cast, I would say like maybe halfway back, just crushed it. But the bigger fish, I did have follow, and you could tell when he followed to the boat first, and he was acting like he kind of wanted to eat. And then on
a little
a
squirrely?
different, we took kind of the wind forced us to kind of make a loop around and take a different angle cast at it, and it ate it out on the cast.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
it was pretty gnarly. He had it up. I think we were casting. You were either casting like crosswind or into the wind originally still, and he had it up. I could barely hear you when you said you had one. I mean, it's so freaking windy, and he said it spun off quick or whatever, and we're both just pitching the crap out of it, and the wind's kind of drifting us back, and I think you turned a little bit and you'd made a bomb cast like just in the direction of where it came from, and it hit way upwind. And like I said, I could still barely hear, but I knew he hooked the fish, and I turned, and all I heard him say was big fish. The splash on the surface was like super ferocious. And I mean, it's still a great fish. It was like a low 40s, like a 41 to 42, we estimated. Quick pick and back. But I think we both agreed that it was because there was so much force of the boat going away from that fish that it probably felt way bigger than what it was. I couldn't even imagine a super tanker like
Yeah,
drifting away from it.
yeah. In my mind, deep down I knew it was like I knew it was like a low 40s that I had moved, and I'm like, it has to be the same fish, but it just felt so big. And also, I think maybe I was dragging it through it was in some pretty thick weeds, but at that point was like the wind had pretty much hit its peak, and we were in the wide open there. I don't know what it was blowing at that point, but it was very strong.
We held our own, but it was
Yeah,
extremely strong.
yeah,
But that was fun to see a fish demolish a glide bait in gale force winds. Pretty much the last thought I would have had on throwing in that spot. I mean, granted, you did catch the first one a little bit before. That probably helped you keep it on, but um, I think the only reason I started throwing the glide at the end of the day was seeing that happen to you. So that
yeah.
helped.
Yeah, I'll definitely say, Gus, you proved to me that you're smarter than you look. The second I took that glide bait off, I think I went to toss it to the deck, and I think you intercepted it before it even hit the deck and put it on. So that was
Yeah,
impressive.
throw me in the Packers secondary, if they're looking a
Yeah,
little thin this midseason. Um, I may
yeah,
not catch it as a receiver, but I can at least get down there and
yeah.
slap some of them down and
For a
shake
split
my
second
hand with
there,
the no.
I think you turned into prime Charles Woodson. Like I had to take a double take.
Oh,
Oh,
that's hilarious.
that's too
That's
good.
hilarious. Yeah, so yeah, I mean, obviously with this big cold front, like I know at least here in Minnesota, people are kind of licking their chops because the fish push up super shallow. We hear about the sand bite, all this good stuff that we've now kind of labored on for the last few episodes. But in Wisconsin, you said you were dragging that fish through some shallow weeds, so it sounds like you guys were still finding them even on the really bad cold front, like up pretty tight into cover and stuff. Like nothing was really pushed out or anything like that. I mean, like what kind of depths are we talking here? Is it like sub 4 feet that you guys are finding your fish at?
No, this was like still edge fish related. I don't know. What would you say? I mean, there's a few that came off of like very shoreline related stuff, but
Yeah,
windblown.
they were on structure. That one just happened. I think that one was really the only one that happened to be like kind of in the weed bed, but it was still probably what, maybe 7, 8 feet there deep.
Yeah.
And the biggest fish we saw, actually, I think pretty much every other fish we saw came off like a rock drop off,
Hmm.
um,
Yeah.
like an edge, like a I don't know what that. Most of them were like I don't know, cast into the shore pretty much, and the boat sitting in maybe 10 feet, 12 feet.
Yeah. Working
Interesting.
mostly. I mean, you had one come off of more slack water stuff, but mostly windblown. We were kind of using that to our advantage, thinking that maybe that was like something to get them fired up rather than try and duck away from the wind. Because we did a few times and we didn't move anything.
No.
And it was all the windblown stuff and just kind of working water until, well, honestly, I mean, you describe how you got the first fish and why you got it on the glide doing what you did, like with the wind
The,
and how fast it was going.
oh, the first one, I was literally we were working the shoreline with the wind, and we were moving so fast that I kept working the glide. If I worked it too slow, it would end up behind the boat, and I didn't feel like I was working it very effectively. So for that reason alone, I started working it faster just to kind of keep it paralleling the boat, I guess.
Hmm.
And I was about halfway back, and the fish crushed it. So that kind of gave me the clue about working it pretty erratic and fast. So then when I got that second one, I was doing pretty much the same thing. The bigger one, I was working it fast over the top of the weeds, and it just crushed it.
I have heard that like speed kills in September. I don't know if you guys agree or disagree with that, but I think just from, I guess, my own personal experience, I've definitely seen that. It's more been for me for bucktails. Just thinking of speed, not much in the glider side of things. But I mean, would you guys agree with that? That speed's kind of a big factor this time of year?
I think that it's definitely more effective now than it will be in a month. Like
Sure.
in a month, month and a half, you're going to want to work that glide. I would say, in my opinion, a lot slower, longer
Yeah.
pauses. But right now, I think you can really get away with some erratic movement, and maybe those fish weren't super fired up today, but that could have caused reaction strikes from both those fish I caught on it.
Yeah, I think you completely switch their moods. I mean, like I think the next hottest eight we got was earlier on more of a crankbait, that squirrely one that kind of kept going around. I mean, that
Mhm.
was working a Kramer crank like pretty hard, but also giving it like enough of a pause. And I remember I like saw the flash of it going into my first turn, and then it did the classic thing where we're blowing with the wind pretty hard, so it was tough to like hang it without having the bait, keep kind of moving down, and the fish was doing like the mouthing thing, like they're tasting the water. So like it was hot, but it maybe wasn't gonna do the thing. Maybe if we had the exact right bait on that fish, or I don't know. I always think to myself, I always wonder like if we were if we were like, I don't know. I think that fish came from the shallower structure, but if we had like 10 more feet of a cast, would it have eaten out? And then that goes for like other fish where like you end up side imaging them on the backside and you cast at them and they never come to the boat. It's like if you had the boat to cast over them originally or something without going over them, like were they ever going to eat, or maybe they weren't, but it's hard to say
Yeah.
with fish like that.
I know my boat control wasn't perfect. I get it. It
No,
was
no,
windy.
no,
It was windy.
no. We were I can't complain at
It's all
all, dude.
judgy, Gus.
I'm not judging that. I'm just talking about in general, like fish's moods.
I
I
just
always,
kidding.
yeah.
Just
Sorry,
because we work,
it's how my brain works.
just because we work the shoreline backwards. That's just how I do it.
It's perfect. Yeah, yeah. He kept saying fishing him from the back of the boat. He was first through. I'm just
Yeah.
kidding. Only on one spot. No, that was just a thought in my head. Like, no matter what, even on a day where like I pick a distance from whatever I want to be on side image, and then a fish comes from like the backside or beneath the boat, or it happens all the time. I mean, on any given day.
One more thing I'll say about the erratic glide bait we were talking about. The biggest fish we saw, that last one, I moved it on the swimming dog, and then it came up on the glide you were throwing. The most life we got out of that fish was actually when you twitched it kind of hard one time. That was like the most we got that fish to move. It didn't really swipe at it, but I guess it kind of rolled on the back of it. So
Hmm.
Hmm.
it seemed like even that fish, the most reaction we got was with that bait being a little bit more erratic than just gliding back and forth slow or a slow moving swimming dog.
Yeah,
So it kind of makes me wonder if you would have got that bait out, that bait in front of the fish before I got the swimming dog in front of it or whatever.
oh,
If it could have maybe ate
Right.
out on the cast with a erratic glide, or you never know.
yeah, those are also things you just kind of never know. Like the timing is crazy with these muskies. I mean, you see it in any aspect, whether you're like tournament fishing in a line and somebody behind you catches one, or like that, you move a fish on a certain lure and it's kind of lazy, like you said on the swimming dog, it like rose up. I think you pretty much made it. I think you're like done figure eighting and you saw it.
Yeah,
And then I pitched the glide back on the other side of the boat and it like got squirrely and really
yeah,
wanted to kind of maybe do something with it. Never showed up again, per usual with muskies, going
yeah,
back after it 3 times.
Mm.
Um,
yeah.
but yeah,
Yeah.
that's just it is what it is. What I was gonna add on there about glide baits, and I really don't know as much as I should. It's just not. It's probably the least used like lure category in the boat, but I started using it a lot last fall and saw a pretty good advantage getting, some fish to go on it and raising some nice fish. But one thing I did get to learn in cold water fishing, more so than last fall, was like fishing in Iowa the last 2 years, early season cold water, and how much that those fish want it always fast. Like you never want to go slow. It's always erratic. And I mean, we're talking water temps in like the 50s and stuff, already much colder than we're at today. We were sitting at like 66 to 68, or did you see any colder or warmer? I can't remember.
That's all I saw was I think right when we were wrapping it up, it was 66. That was the coldest I saw.
Yeah, I think it's fair game to use those gliders pretty erratically through most of the fall. I mean, with the exception of having longer pauses as the fall goes on, but all I can think in my head is like I'll be trolling right till ice up, and you know, we've caught fish in the past going at a pretty decent pace trolling. Those crankbaits probably aren't moving all that slow down there. And the muskies are having no troubles tracking it down and eating it in, sub 45-degree water.
Hmm. So, so David, it's been a while, man. What's been new with you? How's your summer been? I know you've been pretty busy. I've been seeing you in a golf shirt quite a bit this past year. What's I guess, how A, first how the summer's been, and then B, what do you got going on this fall that you're excited about?
So today actually was the end of maybe the longest break from musky fishing I've taken in since I started musky fishing like 10,
Wow.
12 years ago. Yeah, it's been like 3 months and kind of came out of nowhere. I think I needed it. Um, I had a couple bad trips in a row, and I was it's tough for me with having a soon to be 18-month-old to like it was just getting tough for me to like travel and just to get my butt kicked by muskies, which happens to all of us, and burn that much time away from family and stuff. So I gave it a little break, and I actually picked up the golf clubs, like you said, again, which when I was in high school, I golfed a ton, like every day,
Hmm.
and got pretty decent at it, and then just quit for like 10 years. And then the last 3 months, I've picked it back up, and it's just so much easier for me to wake up early, go play 9, 18 or whatever, and I can be home and almost at the same time it takes me to drive to some of these musky lakes. So it's been a nice little change of pace with that, but this cold weather and the getting back out there and catching a nice one today definitely gave me the itch to I'm going to be doing some musky fishing this fall. I mean, I love the fall for musky fishing, and I've also got deer hunting on my mind too. I'm a big bow hunter, and yeah, got a trip to South Dakota planned to rifle hunt out there for whitetails. I'm excited for the fall. I live for this time of year.
Yeah, no, it's literally it's my favorite time of year too, truly. It's my favorite season. But it's interesting you bring that up just because, I think I mean Gus kind of knows this. I've been getting a little bit frustrated with the Muskies over the past honestly 2 months. I've just been stung by atrocious weather, kind of banking all these days to take off of work and time away from the fiance, stuff like that. And then it's like you show up and you're like, fuck, just bad. You just bad weather, bad bites, and it just kind of wears on you. So, um, what you're saying kind of resonates with me a little bit right now. I mean, when you got back out on the boat today and you started casting, like, did it feel good? Did you miss it a bunch? I mean, kind of talk to me about that.
It felt really good once I was out there doing it. Like once we moved that first fish and stuff like that.
Hmm.
But like honestly, the first like couple weeks I took off to like just golf or just hang out around the house. I was like, oh, next week I'm gonna get back into it. I'm gonna miss it bad. And then next thing you know, a month went by and I'd be like, all right, yeah. And then like I was coming up on the second month and I'm like, man, I don't miss it that bad. But getting there today and like feeling that cold weather was all it took for I'm back I'm ready to go for it some more. But I think it sounds crazy to even hear myself say this. Like two years ago, I would probably slap myself, but it was a healthy break for musky fishing. It's important to take a step back and they're I love muskies as much as anyone, but there's definitely they're not the most important thing and most shouldn't be the most important thing in a lot of people's lives.
For sure. And I mean, they can absolutely just wear you thin,
Yeah.
and I do think like getting into the fall and feeling the cold weather and it's just like it's fun to be outside and that stuff. I mean, obviously in the summer, you have all those great nights when like you're in a shirt and a t-shirt and you're out there, but like, Gus and I got out on Monday for a little bit after our draft weekend and it's like 78 degrees, zero wind, bluebird sky, and I'm just like this is impossible. Like We had such a fun weekend hanging out on the boat, playing golf, and then it's like, and then we get out and fish, and it's like, fuck. So I'm really excited for fall because I think for me personally, it's going to be like turning a little bit of a new leaf. Just feeling like more confident and excited to be out there again, for sure.
Yeah. The other thing about summertime, well, a couple things. This summer was so hot, even up here in the Upper Peninsula. Like, I don't know, I'm sure it's hot everywhere, but it was just so hot. And there was a lot of times where I'm like, I don't want to drive. For me, at most of the musky lakes I fish are at least an hour and a half drive. I don't want to drive all the way there and the water temp be like, you know, 78 plus or, 80 plus where I gotta not fish or be worried about it. So that was part of the risk. And then the other thing is in the summertime, it doesn't get dark till like 11 o'clock or whatever, 10:30. So that's another nice thing about fall is it's starting to get dark a little earlier. You don't, I'm not, if I do fish till dark, I'm not coming home at midnight, 1 in the morning. So that's
Yeah,
another reason I'm ready for this fall to start and get some more fishing in.
it's definitely the double-edged sword of fall because it's like it is really nice on those fall days. You kind of just have a set time. You're not out there beating your head against the wall for 16 hours. You get to go home, have dinner,
Yeah.
regroup, get up, hit it hard the next day. Where I think sometimes like on our bender weekends, and obviously I have so much fun, tournament weekends, all this stuff, you can just kind of wear you thin a little bit, especially when you're not catching. You just go through a full day of like from 7 a.m. to 11 p.m. You didn't catch a fish that day. You're just kind of like, okay, what the hell did I just do all day? You know
Yeah.
what I mean? It feels a little weird.
Yeah.
It's still fun to be out there and all the cliche stuff for sure. But yeah, after a while, you're just like, God damn it, something happened, please.
Yeah. I was just starting to feel guilty about it. And like the last trip I did before my break, I went to like one of like my favorite numbers lakes. Like you can't go there and not catch one. And I went, but it's a long drive. It's like a 2.5 hour drive for me. So I was like, I just need to break my slump here. And I went and I dumped 3 fish and didn't catch a single one and just drove home in silence. And I was like, that's when it was time for me to just hang up the rods for a little bit. And it was, like I said, it was a good break, but I'm ready for the break to be done and catch some more fish this fall.
Yeah, and it sounds like, I mean, you kept the ones you had hooked pinned today and got them to the net. And the Gus sent me the picture of your low 40s. It was a beast. I could definitely see how that fish probably tricked you at the beginning to thinking it was. I mean, it was thick fish,
Yeah,
so it's nice.
they're, those fish are well built there, as you know.
Yeah, well, I'm happy to have one big one out of there. But yeah, no, dude, I feel you, man. It was for me this summer, and I shouldn't even say that like I have not had my chances. I mean, they've come. I've had one of those years where I've dumped a lot of fish. Even the day that I mentioned on Monday, like when it felt impossible, we're just not seeing anything, not seeing anything, not seeing anything else, and one just comes flying up and eats me in the eight. I'm like half asleep, and I just lose it right away. And I'm just like, yeah, fuck, God, it's like, come on,
Yeah.
So it's just.
Flat calm, sunny, hot, no moon, just the total BS that you got to get through on those days. I think it's like the late summer when it's flat, calm, and sunny and really warm that drains you. I mean, the conditions were both kind of under as well, though, on Monday.
That's true.
We
That did not
battle
help.
more than just weather. That can't help either.
That's very true. Very true. It
Made me sit down a couple times, drink on some water.
was a
But
long drive home.
yeah, and you had that, and I kind of did too, actually, with where we chose to fish. But hey, it's still good to try some semi new stuff. But no, those days are like I think those days wear on me the most, like in August when it gets flat, calm, sunny, and it just feels next to impossible. And the only reason that I think, we've boated some fish and some really nice ones is just because we're just batting it down and just fishing hard because we kind of have to sometimes. And fish do bite in those conditions, but man, it's tough to like mentally get through them. But it's the fall time. I feel like even if it's cold and sunny, it's so much easier to keep fishing rather than if you're in t-shirt and shorts and you're sweating. I don't like that as much. So that's why I'm also really excited for the fall, and I love it. I love the build of the fish.
Yeah. Yeah, no, there's no doubt. Yeah. All right. Well, now that we're talking about some fall fishing here, David's going to be getting out a lot more. Gus, I'm sure you got some guide trips stacking up here for the next couple weeks. Just looking at the weather, I think this cold front is hanging around for a little bit, but then I think it's going to ramp kind of back up and normalize a little bit next week. Maybe if you guys both just want to share maybe some tactics or some stories on some fish from this time frame for the listeners that could potentially help them out here if they're getting up north over the next week or two.
Yeah. I mean, if you want to jump in at any time, David, be my guest. But I think I'm liking these temps coming up. It's like stable cold, and then it's a very gradual warm up, and it's not even that bad. I think I see some highs by the end of the following week, next week being only like 65 to 70 maybe. So nothing outrageous. I think it's gonna like keep the temps probably pretty much uh right on par. But I'm honestly looking forward to probably like a really good topwater bucktail bite, quite possibly, um, with a side of rubber. I mean, it's almost gonna be like in good stability. You can get them on almost anything, and I feel like the tough days are where you got to really grind through some lures to figure out exactly what they want. You know, like when and the only tough part about this time of year is like even though it is September and even though the water temp's still a little bit warmer, like think about even the bite windows in early season, like around opener, when they start ramping up into like the low 60s and mid 60s, which is what our temps are going to be probably in a week or so. Like they shorten up and they get a little bit tougher. Like you go through a little bit more, longer dry spells of not seeing anything, and then out of nowhere you can get, absolutely walloped. But I'm looking back at last year and there's a couple pictures of us in September with um more so the shorts and t-shirt, but for the most part, a lot of jeans and hoodies and a couple early morning flat calm bright sun bucktail eaters. I mean, can't go wrong, honestly. I think we had a lot of heat last September, unfortunately. Last September was not a good one to kind of display this. I think you'd probably have to go back and look at a normal year. Other than the like high heat, I feel like this has been a fairly normal year. It was like a really normal opener, like gradual heat up. And we had like a kind of wet and rainy and semi-cold June, but then all of a sudden, like mid to late July, it just got hot, like really hot. But now it's like I don't know, we're seeing a good amount of reds in the trees already. But I don't know. I'll look back at pictures, see if I can think of a story. I don't know if you got anything, David, off the top of your
I was
mind.
just gonna say, like September, like you said, it's like the one month I feel like where you can literally throw anything, and that's tough, but it's also kind of nice. You can kind of go to your confidence bait, and it's probably gonna work on most days. Um, Also, I would say generally I'm not a big topwater guy, but from my experience, September is by far the best topwater month. I at least up by me. Um,
Do you have
like
any
even
theories as to why that is? Because you hear it a lot from a lot of people, but do you have
uh,
any kind of ideas
I
there?
guess if I was to give it an idea, I guess I would say it's that the fish are moving, they're on structure, they're moving shallow, but it's still warm enough where they're willing to spend the energy on to crush a topwater, I guess. They're
Mhm.
not, it's not, the water's not cold enough where they're lethargic and they don't want to come up and eat that, but it's cold enough, or at least it's the time of year where um they're moving to those structure spots and they're sitting in those places. And maybe they're starting to think that they want to put on the feed bag, but the temperature still allows them to want to spend the energy and hit that topwater, I guess. I don't know, but it's the last few Septembers that topwater has been one of my best producers.
I have a pretty dumb theory as to why I think topwater works in September, if you guys care to indulge for a minute.
I'm all
So,
ears, brother.
Yeah, I'm all ears.
okay, so um, I think in September, from what I've kind of seen and from heard from other people, is you do get like a pretty big push of some of these larger fish that will slide up onto structure from, either whether it's deep water, they were more inaccessible throughout the summer. Um, and, funny enough, like those fish that are maybe sitting on deeper edges or like out in open water that have been harassed throughout the year, like they've probably seen some rubber baits, maybe some bucktails, where they like make this shallow push and it's maybe their first time all year since like early, June or end of May that they're seeing a topwater bait. And not a lot of people even throw topwaters during opener. So I just think like maybe it's just something new that they're not seeing throughout the year and they make this shallow push and then they're like, oh shit, there's a Cannonball Junior. I haven't seen that in 18, a year from, or whatever, and they just go and eat it. But yeah, that definitely a working theory there. But
That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. No, I'm just kidding. That makes sense to me.
I love
kind of
it.
ramble
Just
there,
when I
but
thought you couldn't get any dumber,
so you go
you
and
go
do
and do
something
something like
like this. I don't know. I was just thinking about the other day when we were fishing super shallow, and I'm like, I wonder if some of these fish, and it could just be like they haven't seen as many baits in general type thing. Or they're just more accessible because they're in shallow water and all muskies can be dumb when they want to eat anyways. So I don't know.
I
These things
think
are probably more fun to think about than they actually are in working theory, but
Oh, there's nothing better than like trying to decipher like why a fish was there and like why it ate. I mean, but then again, like we've talked about a lot, we've moved some of the biggest fish in September on flaptails in like stupid shallow water in
that's what
bright
I'm
sunny
saying.
conditions.
Like that fish
And
isn't there in July and August.
I think the one thing I think why we've had better success with the flaptails is like overall in my head now thinking we might be working some of the prop style baits too fast. Like there's probably a reason why we're moving them on flaptails. Like people are saying they're getting them on topwaters, but probably moving them a little bit slower as that water gets colder,
I think
like
the
in that late
flaptails are
September.
just good, especially in northern Wisconsin, because I just don't think they get thrown as much, honestly. I mean, if you when you see people throw topwater, at least when I'm watching other people on other boats, when you see them out there, 9 out of 10 people throwing a topwater are just throwing a prop style, whether it's like topwater or a top raider or fat bastard or something. It seems like
Most
those are
common.
just super common. Um, I mean, we've even had success on that Suic Nightwalker bait just because I think it makes a completely different plopping sound than the fat bastard and
Yeah.
Cannonball Junior even stuff like that.
I
So
think it's important. It's important to have like, not telling people to own a ton of lures, but I think when it comes to a bait like a topwater that makes like a certain noise, unless you have one that squeaks better or whatever, like it's a mass produced bait. You probably want different options. It's not a rubber lure. Like if you give 10 people a Medusa, every single person's probably going to work it differently. If you give 10 people a fat bastard, probably everyone's going to work it the same, just about within maybe the same reeling. So like there's nothing special there that, that's kind of the tough part about topwater and bucktails, but I think the benefit that people get is using different ones, like the smaller Lake X or with blades, just using blades that straight up you don't think people use very often. Um, there's definitely some
I
that work better.
I almost hate to say it, but I threw it today a lot. That little bastard from Lake X, that is
Yeah.
that top water is a muskie killer, and they inhale it. Muskies of all sizes. People think it's too small, and that's like a September story, I guess. Is last September fishing a new lake uh, after dark, and I caught a 47 on that little bastard, and it absolutely inhaled it. And people,
Hmm.
like I said, people think that's too small, and I've caught muskies of all sizes on it, and it's a great little September bait to throw.
that thing rips though. The sound that thing makes is
It's
crazy
it sounds so good. It's loud, like it
loud.
sounds good. It sounds a lot like a whopper plopper. It's got more of
Hmm.
like
Yeah.
the plop, or I guess to it, or I'm not exactly sure what the right word would be, but it definitely has a
It's
unique
More
sound.
more plops per minute, I think. A
Yeah,
higher a higher plops per minute.
PPM.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah,
High PPM on that one.
yeah.
It's got a high splash rate too. Do we have that category as well? Spits a lot of water for its
Yeah,
size. I
it's
don't know if
true.
Yeah.
that pisses them off enough. No, I don't think I've given that one enough runtime this year. Last year it was insane, other than the really, really big one on the Dr. Evil, like one more or something, the Dr. Evil. It was just like sorry, it was like fully lights out, little bastard last season. That is just what crushed. But the weird part is like most of those bites that I got last year were July. Like every time I even thought there was like a glimmer of a cloud that could maybe rain, I threw on a little bastard and the fish, they'd come up and at minimum look at it, if not eat it or try to eat it at the boat. Um, but this year it seemed to be a lot drier and just hotter, so I never really there's not many days out there where I was like, let's throw top water. And every time we did, it was like one person as an experiment, and then we'd get walloped on a bucktail. I'm like, okay, well, could have seen that one coming. It's been just like the year of the bucktail, especially July and August. We're only a couple days into September, but I was looking back at last year, and it was the reigning terror of that 7.8 XL banger. I think I had sent you net pics all the time, Max, last September. You probably remember when I was just like, this one again, this one again. It's just eating this candy corn XL banger, 7.8 size. And yeah, back to like the top water thing. I have like one story of a day, of a half day trip. Um, we went out on more of a stained system, and I know that there was like some kind of weather coming through. And I I remember telling the guy, I'm like, it's kind of choppy. I'm gonna have you throw a CBJ like right from the start, and we didn't even start like early morning or anything. And I'm like, some of the spots that we're fishing, it's gonna feel completely wrong that you're using this. Like we're not in like super shallow stuff, and just trust me and throw it. And I remember him being like, "Holy shit, this thing is huge." I'm like, "Well, just hug her out there. The good part about it is you can cover a lot of water." And I remember he got through like one corner of the figure eight, and a fish came up and like totally tried to swipe and eat at it, and he like kept his composure really well and just kept going with it on the top of the water and kept going, and it came back again and just destroyed it boat side, and it was one of the cooler eats I've ever seen on a top water at the boat. And I mean, it was ecstatic. I mean, it was absolutely awesome. And I know like about a half an hour later, we were kind of getting pushed more into the weed bed, further in it, but it was still kind of sparse cabbage. And I remember side imaging one on the backside, and I told him like, right, I'm like, take some casts over there before we drift too far. And I think he took like three over it for sure where it was, and just nothing, nothing, nothing. And I think I pitched out the Huntsy tail and got eaten right out in the cast. So there's like, even though it was the same bite window on the same spot, like a fish totally preferred a different thing. And I thought that was so bizarre. Like when I side imaged it, I thought it was like a done deal. I'm like, dude, just toss that CBJ out there. You're gonna get walloped again for sure. And then I was surprised to get bit. But either way, it was a good little bite window. I think that's all we got out of 4 hours was that like half hour bite window, but that's on par. That was like mid-September last year.
Mm.
That's a good example of not having two people in the boat throw the same thing. Just because the bite is on for a certain bait, they all have their own minds, right? And if you guys were both throwing CBJs because of that blow up you had earlier, you might not have got that fish.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good point. That's actually a really good point. I think sometimes people get locked in, like, you're talking about today, Gus intercepting Charles Woodson style the glider from you.
Yeah.
There's probably times where he wanted to throw a glider when you were throwing a glider, but it is sometimes good to, I guess it's usually a really good idea to always have kind of two different options going. And, even with blades too, like a lot of times we'll be throwing two different size blades if we're going to run double blades. And there's been countless times where the guy in the two hole gets a fish up super squirrely, like literally within feet of probably where that first guy casted, a different bucktail. So yeah, I do think, there's countless examples of how bait selection actually can kind of make or break a day sometimes, which
It
makes it
does.
makes it
It
fun.
it gets in my head. I mean, there's like I mean, like David said, this is the time of year I think you can truly catch a fish on everything. And then I was talking with you today, you're asking me about like the Deuce bite, and I'm like, well, as soon as it turns to July 4th, I pretty much glue a Medusa to my rod for about a month straight before like the first day that it doesn't get a sniff, and then once that happens, I wean off of it and it's totally switched to like a tube or a dog or like
Wean off of it.
yeah. I just,
Recovering.
yeah. I don't know, smashing them on deuces too much. I mean, maybe they get educated, I don't know. But for some reason it's just like all of a sudden they want to hammer that, and if they're gonna only hammer that, why switch? And I just have it glued to my rod. But then today, like if I did that with one of those lures, there's a good chance I might not have seen a fish if I didn't like switch it up a little bit, or yourself switch it up a little bit. When you're like, oh, it's going to be a topwater bite because the same time of year, similar weather, like you said, less wind, they were going on topwater. If we did that all day, maybe we could have, but I don't. Yeah, you're shaking your head. I kind of agree as well.
Probably not.
I don't
No,
think it was a
I
topwater day.
tried.
Yeah. Well, tell us about this hunting trip you got coming up.
We're going to Western South Dakota. I've been out there twice before. It's awesome. Um,
Like the
we actually
Black
hunt.
Hills.
We hunt Standing Rock Reservation. It's called. It's awesome. The tag is expensive, but you can shoot a whitetail or a mule deer with it. Um, I shot a few different nice bucks there, including my biggest buck, which is this 10 pointer.
Dang.
Yeah, that buck is a kind of a cool story. I know this isn't a hunting channel, but I can tell it really quick. My first time ever
Yeah,
going out
let's hear
there,
it.
my first time ever going out there, I had to work night shift at the mill the night we were going out there. So I'm sitting at the mill looking at Onyx maps. Never been out there before, and I just picked a pin or whatever. Well, then, so that shift got done, hopped in with my buddies. We drove out there, drove all day to get out there, slept that night. Next morning, they're like, all right, where are you going to go? I'm like, I got this pin I picked. Never seen this place in the daylight. I'm like, I got this pin I picked. I'll go try there. So I'm gonna be patient and just get up to a high spot and look. So that morning, sun starts coming up. I'm like, I'm gonna be patient. Off in the distance, I see these deer pushing themselves around on this big flat, and I'm like, those are bucks pushing does. Like, just be patient. That lasted about 30 seconds. I got up and snuck up down there, and 40 minutes into my first hunt there, I shot that buck. So
Oh, shit.
yeah, 145-inch 10 pointer. Nothing crazy, but my biggest. Um,
That's
fr-
epic.
from
That's a great story.
from being a
Yeah.
UP hunter and stuff, you don't see bucks like that. So it was pretty wild that it was like I hadn't even really woke up yet, and my hunt was over there. So
Were you freaking
Wow.
out?
a little bit, yeah. So I accidentally so I saw the buck with a doe, and I was like, he was kind of in some brush. So I was like, just be patient and whatever. And he was just taking forever. He was tending this doe. It was like peak rut. And all of a sudden he like took off, and I was like, oh, what the heck? I thought he was out of my life forever. Well, it's like they can disappear and reappear out there like crazy because it's just like thick draws and stuff. Well, so I'm like texting my buddies that the buck like left or whatever. And while that's going on, my shooting stick that I have for my gun fell like down the hillside kind of. So I was like, ah, whatever. Well, then I looked up and the buck popped back out into the open, and like I was like, I gotta shoot this thing before he disappears again. So I ranged him. I already ranged that hillside. It was like 320. And so I made the decision to not go for my shooting stick, and I freehand shot him, and I dropped him somehow from that distance about a rest.
Feet
So
or
that was pretty crazy.
yards?
Yards, what I say?
I didn't hear you say. That's what I was asking.
Oh, 320 yards.
Damn.
Yeah.
That's impressive.
Yeah. I just put the
That's really
crosshairs on like
awesome.
his back line and shot, and he just folded down the hill. And it was pretty wild. My buddies were mad because like this was our first time out there, obviously, and they heard me shoot like before they even like got set up in a spot and stuff, and it was wild.
So what do you do the rest of the trip then?
I just hunted with my one buddy and tried to help him get a buck, and
Gotcha.
yeah, he didn't get one. He shot a lot, but he didn't get one. I'm glad he doesn't
That's
listen to Muskie
frustrating.
podcasts because he'd be pretty mad I said that. But yeah, we've gone out there twice, and everyone's got a buck every time except for one person, and both times it was him. So
Oh, God.
Is
Poor
he joining
guy.
you again?
he's coming this year, so he's got a lot of money invested into getting one this year because two times now of not getting a buck, he's due. I feel bad for the first legal buck that steps out in front of him.
Yeah. Well,
Seriously.
actually, I don't
If
know. It
there's
might be one lucky
Yeah,
son of a bitch if he
yeah.
keeps this up.
If there was a hunter to step out in front of, he's the one.
Oh my God. If there's such thing as a do factor,
Yeah.
he's it.
Well, that's the thing. It's like it's so hard for me not to give him a hard time because you know how I am. I like to poke a little fun, and I'm getting to the point where even I kind of feel bad about it. But I just know he's going to end up getting a giant one. Like that's just how the
Right.
world works. He's gonna finally maybe not this year, maybe not the next year, but one of these years he's gonna get just the biggest buck we've seen out there somehow.
Yeah, I mean that's yeah. You'll have to follow up with us and let
Yeah.
us know how that goes because now I'm kind of
He'll probably he'll probably shoot at it, miss it, it'll hit a rock and deflect back into the deer, and he'll
right,
get it. But
exactly.
he'll get it somehow.
Exactly. The bullet's gonna find its way to the right
Yeah.
spot somehow, some way. No,
That's too good.
I feel invested now for this guy's success, so
Yeah.
you'll have to let us know how it goes. Well, maybe give us one quick big fall muskie story then before we send you on your way here. Cap off some nice trophy hunts here. I mean, I know you got some. I know you've caught some slobs in the fall time up in your neck of the woods. Is there anyone that sticks out to you the most?
Well, while we're in September, I was telling Gus about this fish today. Um, Me and my buddy Nick that I did the battle with last year, the muskie battle, we went to the same lake that Gus and I went to today, and it was like it was end of September. It might have been like the last few days of September, and it was unseasonably warm. I don't remember the exact temp, but it was like in the
Oh
70s.
yeah, I
Not
remember
a
that
cloud,
weekend.
not a cloud in the sky, and we got there, and it was kind of one of those things like, are we wasting our time? We got there like middle of the day. I remember I was in a t-shirt and like long story short, we literally fished for like 20 minutes and I caught a 50. And it was a 50 by 22 and it was just pinch the tail, just touch the mark. And it was a slob. It was an awesome fish. And but it gets better. All day that day, I was like, and I think we did catch one more fish, but we never had any more follows or anything. We ended up catching one more fish out on the cast or whatever, but all day that day, I'm telling Nick, I'm like, it's so crazy that that fish just touched 50, just like the one I got last year, just like the one I got last year. And I kept saying that all day, but it looked nothing like the one I got last year. So we're on our way home after fishing, and I start looking at the pictures just because it kept bothering me that it was like it pinched the tail, just get it to touch. And sure enough, it was the same fish. It almost had completely changed its shape. I had caught that fish in June the year before, June 29th, the year before, on this is a big lake, and it was completely other end of the lake. And
No shit.
I never got a girth that time, but it was the same thing. It didn't grow at all lengthwise. It definitely put on pounds, but it was like a darker brown fish in June. And then when I caught it again in that late September, it was a kind of like paler, light colored, just fatty. And like I said, never grew an inch, not a quarter inch, nothing. Just like exactly
What
the
gave it
same length.
away? What gave it away? Just looking at the
I can
pictures, you
I,
could
I can
tell.
send you the pictures. I have them circled. There's like three clear scars on it.
Damn.
Three, not really like not super like bad scars, but like you can just see where the scales are formed differently on it.
Yeah.
And it's plain as day when you look at the picture side by side. But if you didn't if you didn't catch both the fish and know that they were like if you someone else caught it, I would never have noticed. It was just the fact that it was the same lake and the exact same length that like the fish doesn't look that much like itself, but it's 100% the same fish. And yeah, so that couple cool points. That's that catch and release works, um, and that you never know what the weather could be completely terrible, flat, calm, sunny. Sometimes those are the days those really big ones bite. Um,
Seriously.
and
Yeah,
this
that's cool.
Yeah, so that's probably my best September story.
And it was on the totally opposite side
Yeah,
of that
I think
lake.
I want to say I measured it and it was like a couple miles apart, like as the crow flies.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. It had totally switched from where it lived in June to where it lived in September. And it had, I mean, this was a year and change over. So whatever that is, 13 or it'd been like 15 months or whatever that is.
Yeah.
And it's pretty shocking. It goes to show like we all dream of a 52, 53, 54 incher. Well, they might not all get there. That fish is gonna was 50 probably till it died. It topped out.
Yeah. Just hit its max, and
Yeah.
those are some really interesting data points on that
Yeah.
catch. Just travel amount and that it didn't grow and that it completely changed shade. That's crazy.
Yeah. I'll send the pictures over. It's pretty wild.
Yeah, I'd love to see them again. I mean, that's super cool to see. I mean, anytime you get a recapture, small or big, or whatever, from other people or yourself again, like, I mean, that might be one of the
Gus,
better
did
parts
you
of
tell
muskies.
your recapture story on the pod last week?
No, I think we recorded it before that. Maybe. Yeah, I think we did. Um, because I think we recorded Tuesday and got on Wednesday. Yeah. That was a really cool one. So, I get out with a client and we get a really nice tiger, actually the biggest boated uh in my boat ever. And I knew it was a really big fish when it was out there, and then it went in, and like as it went in, it was kind of dark out, and literally once it was sliding to the net, I'm like, oh shit, that's a tiger. I'm like, that's a really, really nice one. And I was telling the lady, I'm like, I'm gonna get some pictures. I do this now to every tiger, get some pictures of each side of its cheeks in the net, just in case like you don't get the right side from like, especially if it's a tiger that maybe somebody else caught on that lake, and they maybe are a lefty or a righty, or they're holding it different. It's good to get like the cheek, because that's the pattern that will tell you if a tiger is the same. Like no matter how big they grow, they're gonna have that exact same pattern. And sure as shit, I take a look at I think I quickly go back in my photos in that same lake to some tigers that we've gotten, and I screenshot all of them. And I think the second one I looked at was Dad's that he caught in league last year. It was a 38 and 3/4. So we know exactly because we caught it in league and had to take exact measurements. And it kind of had the same color-ish, but it was very stout and it grew exactly 4 inches in 13 months. It was 42 and 3/4 and just built wide and had a really, really big tail, big head, typical tiger stuff, just growing fast and being mean at the front end. And that one was also mean in the back end. And that was pretty sweet to see. Um, because we saw that the other year, where 2 years ago, one that Dad caught on a sucker that was like just off the top of the head, I think 38 and a half maybe ish. And I think it was the next fall. So like 11 months later, I think after that one was caught, Clayton's client caught on a sucker as well. And the same shoreline, it didn't learn. It ate a sucker. Just like, this latest tiger ate a bucktail last year. It ate a Hansi tail this year. I think it just ate double eights last year. But this one that Clayton's client caught, I want to say was like around the 42-ish range as well. And it grew like over like 3.5 inches in 11 months. So like we have some extremely fast growing tigers around here, and that's pretty neat to see. And coming out of the same lake in the same area. So like in 1 to 2 years, we could have some behemoth mid-40s tigers if they remain, catch and release.
Sweet. Yeah. That's crazy. I didn't realize tigers grow 4 inches a year.
I think that's on the high-ish side. I've seen some other recaptures and like did some growth estimates myself, and I don't think I ever seen a 4 inch at that size. Maybe when they're a little bit smaller, but like
Yeah,
getting
it's gonna
that
end up
big,
being like a 48-inch tiger in a couple years, probably, if it stays healthy.
like 3 years, it could be that big. It's pretty neat.
My biggest tiger is 44, and I was telling Gus today, it was caught the year before at 42, so it grew 2 inches in a year. I thought that was pretty good. but yeah, like 4. I mean, that's double. So it's wild.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. All right, well, fellas, this has been a fun little chat here this evening. You guys got any closing thoughts? Anything else to share? I'm probably good for tonight.
I think yeah, no, it's good to have like a nice little early fall chat here. I think I'm gonna fill in some words for you, David. You're probably gonna say it anyways, and if you're not, I'm gonna remind you it's Suic season.
It definitely is. The Suic is the best bait to throw from now till ice up. I
You had
agree
to
with that
you had to
100%.
stick with us all the way until the last 2 minutes to hear that.
Yeah. I'll even tell you the color. No, I'm not going to tell you the color.
You can't
Figure,
do it. Can't do
figure
it.
it out.
That's cruel, but also
Yeah.
reasonable.
You got to throw the really, really, I'll give you a hint. Super, very natural colors.
Yeah. More natural, the better. I threw all natural colors today, and look at me. I got 2 fish.
Yeah,
Look
you
at me.
did.
Right on.
Extremely natural. That's good stuff. All right, well, David, we can't thank you enough for coming in to kind of act as like as a co-host and guest, fill in, the big shoes of Brian Eckel, kind of the man in charge, the guy that's behind all of the faces of Muskies on Tap, and you did a great job. We appreciate it for you hopping on.
Yeah, I appreciate you having me on. It's fun.
Well, it's great to have you on. It was good to catch up in the boat as well, and spark the muskie right back into you. So
Yeah.
I'm excited
Yeah.
to hopefully get out another time or two this fall. So
Yeah. Let's go get a giant this fall at one of those lakes we talked about. And yeah, I'm excited to see what the rest of the year brings for you boys.
Right
us
on,
too. All
man. Sounds
right,
good.
All right.
peace.
See ya.